Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is a reveal of a Louis Vuitton vintage bag that I purchased, and it's actually going to be a how to sort of restore and upkeep a vintage bag. So basically the bag that I bought wasn't in the best of shape and I had to go through some steps to kind of rejuvenate the leather, but I'll wait till I get into that. If you do like these sort of videos, so all things luxury and unboxings and all that, then please hit that subscribe button below. So the bag that I'm revealing is the Louis Vuitton Mini Montsouris backpack. I'll leave the full name of it below just in case I butchered it. But yes, this is the smallest size. I believe they come in 3 sizes. The PM, so this one, the MM and the GM. So this is the smallest, and I bought it from a Japanese consignment store for an okay price. Like, it's harder to get the mini backpack. I see a lot more of the MM around and even the GM, but the mini one is the harder one to come by. So I would say the price I paid is okay. I don't think I got a bargain, so to speak, but I don't think I paid an extortionate amount or anything like that. So I am okay with the price, which worked out to be around about 700 Australian dollars. It's a 1997 made bag, so it is a vintage bag. And it arrived to me in an okay, like it was in good condition. That's the way that they described it anyway, like good condition but vintage with some, you know, water stains and dryness to the leather. So I didn't really know on the pictures that the leather was cracked, like on the handle. It wasn't until I was restoring the bag that I could see that it actually was cracked. I think because it was dry, you couldn't really see the cracks until you went in to put the leather conditioner, and that's when the cracks like became obvious that they were there, unfortunately. Now that I've done the process of conditioning the leather, I'm quite happy that the cracks won't get worse. They will just stay as they are. You can't undo cracks. Once there's cracks in any kind of unfinished leather, and that applies to Hermes Boxcalf as well. If you get cracks in that and the Hermes Vache Natural, there's nothing you can do about it. Unfinished leathers, cracks, nothing you can do about it. Even a finished leather, but finished leathers don't tend to get cracks in it. Like, that's the whole point of it being a finished leather, is that they're not supposed to be a raw hide. So you'll see in the process anyway, the Black Rocks Leather and Rich is a cleaner and conditioner. So the first application of it, applying it with your fingers so it warms up the product and helps the leather to soak it in, and then wiping it down with a cloth, like buffing the excess away, that's cleaning. And then the next step is the conditioning. So on the first process, when you're doing the cleaning, you're pulling away all the dirt and all the grime. So that's when the cracks sort of came to surface, and I could see that they were actually underneath. So that was a bit disappointing. But now, having done the treatment, I actually did an extra treatment. I did a 3rd treatment just on that handle. So I'm confident it's not going to get any worse. It's just going to stay as is with the cracks on it. But that's okay, because it's not going to get any worse. That's the main thing. I think that's probably about all I can really say. I think most of us are sort of familiar with these backpacks. We see them around in the pre-loved market quite a lot. They've been around for quite a long time. So yeah, that's sort of how it looks. The straps at the back were pretty good. I wasn't really too worried about them, but of course I did a whole treatment of conditioning all over the leather, because I mean, it's an unfinished leather. The only way it gets oils in the hydration that it needs is generally from your hands. That's how it gets the oils. So it is good to condition any unfinished leather bags. Say, depending on what kind of climate you live in, between 6 and 12 months. You can go 12 months if you're not in a very dry sort of climate, but just kind of keep an eye on it. The whole process with polishing the hardware, conditioning the leather twice over, took me about 3 to 4 days, I think it was, because you kind of have to let the leather rest as well so it can soak it up. You can't just keep chucking the conditioner on. I thought I would show you as well what I've got inside the bag. So this is what I have inside the bag, just like that there, and I'm going to pull the contents out so you can see how much it did fit. I could also fit as well on top like a little small water bottle for my daughter or something like that, or I could fit at the back a flat water bottle, the one that I typically use in handbags. So it's still relatively, like, it's spacious, but it's not comfortable to put everything in. You have to kind of play a little bit of Tetris to get everything slotted in. So I've got my phone. I have inside like a nappy bag. So it's got a nappy, changing pads, some baby wipes, and a plastic bag. So that's all in there. That was inside the bag. And then I've got this pouch as well inside the bag, which has some medicines, mirror, and tissues, and some ladies stuff. So it's all compacted in that little thing. And then as well, I have my Louis Vuitton card holder, my mini wallet. So that's the bag empty now. That'll fit inside, which is good. So that I know would be good for taking, say, on errands. If I have to make a quick trip to the shops or something like that to get groceries, I know that this bag's going to fit what I need, especially as well for my daughter. And then I've just got my keys inside as well, and that was in the front pouch here. So the bag does up with this drawstring, and this actually was really dry as well when I first got it, but now it's really, really, really good. Like, it's made a massive difference doing the conditioning of this strap, because this is probably the strap that gives way first. I've noticed with these bags, like, it's usually ripped and like really twisted and broken, but this is now much, much, much better than what condition it was in when it first arrived. So the bag does close up with this thing. Bit awkward, isn't it? I mean, it's not the most user-friendly backpack, that's for sure. And then just closes with the buckle here. Not the most exciting thing to really show. Just like that.
So laid out are all the products that I'm going to use. The water wipes actually don't show in the footage, I forgot to film it, but all I do is use it to clean the inside of the bag, remove any of the dirt or dust that's sitting in the corners of the bag. And here I have a sapphire polishing cloth, but you can use any polishing cloth. And the Black Rocks Leather and Rich. Also the Blue Metal Polish Cream. Some Q-tips to use for the metal polish. And then just a couple cloths, like a tissue and a cloth. So using the blue metal polish sparingly on a Q-tip, I am now using this to clean the tarnish from the hardware. So try to be wary of getting it on the canvas. It does wipe off with the canvas, it wipes off the canvas, so don't worry all too much. But of course, you know, you don't want to get too much product on the canvas because you might accidentally leave some behind, and then there could be some repercussions for that. So yes, try to do it sparingly, and using a Q-tip is best. And as you can see, I'm actually going inside the rivet as well because there's tarnishing inside the rivets too. And then just going around and around the hardware, trying to avoid the canvas. You'll actually see the Q-tips going black, and that's an indication to show that the tarnish is actually coming off of the metal. So when you do the inside of the bag, the opposite side of the rivet, be very careful here with the blue metal polish. You don't want to use too much because I noticed that it does not wipe off the textile lining. So if you do get any on the textile lining inside the bag, you'll get a sort of grayish hue to where it's been left behind. So yes, try to be very sparing with it. I actually used a little bit too much, so in this instance I got a little bit of a mild grey ring on the textile lining around the rivet there. So again, this is the Q-tips going black because it's removing all that tarnish, and it's coming up nice and shiny. So I also use a clean tissue to wipe away the excess, and because that blue metal polish does leave a slight residue, so you do have to wipe it off with a tissue or a clean Q-tip. So you can see there's a massive difference, one shiny, one tarnished rivet. Now moving on to the actual zipper pull itself. The zipper pull has a plating on it. So I feel that the hardware in the zipper pull is slightly different to the actual hardware of those rivets. So I'm cleaning it, like I'm doing the polishing, but I'm not really getting all that much progress because I'm actually realizing that it's not so much tarnished, it's actually chipped. So I've got some dark bits on the zipper pull that are chipped, and there's nothing I can do about it, unfortunately, but the polish still makes the zipper pull nice and shiny. And then you're also going to use a Q-tip to do the finer detailing as well. So now moving on to the actual zipper teeth. This is probably the hardest part of doing the polishing because the process itself took me around about 3 goes. I had to apply the blue metal polish with the cloth, kind of smear it in the cloth a bit so I could run it over the teeth, as you can see here. And then I had to wipe away the excess and then repeat the process again because there was quite a lot of tarnish build up. But I had to make sure that I did do a very good job of removing all that tarnish because it actually affects how smoothly the zipper runs along. It may have been an easier job doing this section if I had purchased a jewellery polishing cloth. However, the blue metal polish is far more effective than the jewellery polishing cloth. It's just that this section doing the teeth is a little bit more tedious because you can't really use a Q-tip. That lint will kind of catch onto the teeth there. Now in this part, I'm actually using a mixture of half white vinegar, half water in a spray bottle, and I'm just spraying it inside the bag, and then I'm using a paper towel to pat away the excess. Having droplets of that spray mixture won't hurt the bag whatsoever. What it actually does is remove the odor from the bag, and then you just leave that to dry overnight, leave it open to air out, and it'll completely remove the odor. Moving on to the buckle hardware. Now also should note to be wary of not getting the blue metal polish onto the Vachetta leather. I did get a little bit on, but I was able to wipe it off quite quickly, so if you do, just quickly wipe it off. Don't leave it sitting on there because you might get a darkened spot or something like that. And then moving on to the metal that's at the back of the bag as well, using a Q-tip because it's a finer area and trying to avoid the Vachetta leather again. So once you've done all the hardware polishing, you now want to move on to cleaning and conditioning the leather. So we are using the Black Rocks Leather Enrich, and we are going to apply it with our fingers. So you want to apply it fairly sparingly because it's quite a greasy product, so it does have quite a lot of slip and movement to it. And you just want to run that over the leather with your fingers using like a rubbing circular motion. You don't want to press hard enough, whereas though you would bruise an apple. So think of it as if you were actually putting pressure on an apple. If you would bruise it, then you're definitely pressing too hard. So just rubbing this all over the leather. Using your fingers is best because it actually heats up the product as well, so it helps the leather to take in the product when it's slightly warmed. And your fingers also can get into places, into those sort of hard to reach places that you probably couldn't get if you're just using a cloth. If you really do want to use a cloth, you can, but I would advise that you use a cloth like the one that I was using for the hardware polishing, a cloth that has no lint, something that probably would have come with your glasses, something like that. So a smooth, lint-free cloth is also acceptable, but I prefer to use my fingers because it really helps for the leather to take in the conditioning. So this process we're actually cleaning. This first process is cleaning the leather, but it also still conditions the leather too. So you want to take away the excess as well. Once you put it on in that circular motion, use the polishing cloth to remove the excess. So using circular motions as well with the polishing cloth to take off the excess and the same kind of pressure applied. Also, you want to use a polishing cloth to take away any of the product that's probably gone onto the canvas. It won't hurt the canvas, but it's, like I said, a slightly greasy product, so you should take it away as well. Don't leave it sitting on the canvas. And try not to apply the most part of the product on any of the stitching. You want to apply the most part of the product on the leather itself, you can also apply it on the stitching, but don't go in with the first, say you've dipped your finger into the leather conditioner. You don't want to then go and say put it straight directly onto the stitching, because like I said, it's a slightly greasy product. So you want to sparingly put it on the stitching because it could potentially compromise the stitching. However, in my experience of using this product, I've never had that problem. I just make sure that when I first go in with my fingers with the product on them, I apply directly to the leather and then just spread out in circular motions where the least amount of product is then going on the stitching. So doing that for all over the leather. You want to do that on every single bit of the Vachetta leather and removing the excess with the buffing cloth. Or polishing cloth, same thing. If I say buffing cloth, it also means polishing cloth because it does the work of buffing too. So repeating the process also on the base of the bag, and the base of the bag is where you'll find that it has the most water stains on such a large bit of Vachetta leather. And this product will actually help to blend in those water stains. It does slightly darken the Vachetta leather, but what it actually does to the leather has all the more benefits as to that slightly cosmetic darkening. But it helps to bring in that even patinaing. It blends in the water spots. So you will see in the before and after photos that I'll show later on, the water spots were much more prominent before I had applied this product. And then once I had applied the product, it made all the difference where it actually helped to blend in those water spots where they weren't so obvious. Not that water spots are a really bad thing, but ideally if you have Vachetta leather, it's actually better to treat it before you get water spots. This product will help to repel water. And in my opinion, it's better than spraying that Apple Guard spray because that has no conditioning benefits whatsoever. So yeah, you are going to let the bag rest overnight so it soaks up the conditioner, ideally 12 hours minimum, and then you're going to repeat the same process the next day, and you shouldn't need to polish the hardware again anyway. You can also buff the bag as well if you want that shine.
So if you're here, then you've come to the end of the video and you watch my leather restoration. I just wanted to say as a bit of a disclaimer, if you do choose to follow these steps and follow what I did do to restore my Louis Vuitton mini Montsouris backpack, and particularly the Vachetta leather and the hardware, then you are doing so at your own risk. I mean, I've done restoration of vintage handbags quite a few times. I didn't really show it before because I'm really new back to YouTube, but I'm confident in the way I do it. But I mean, if you were to go and replicate the steps, just bear in mind that you have to use a very, very light hand with the Black Rocks leather and rich conditioner. Don't just slather it on. It's a very thick conditioner. That's just my advice. But even if you take my advice and you follow my steps, you are doing so at your own discretion and you are doing so at your own risk. Not that I feel that it's risky if you do follow it correctly. But anyways, I just had to say that. I know it probably sounds like I talked a lot of gibberish, but I just wanted to make it clear that I would not be held responsible if something does go wrong. Not that it should, if you do it right. But anyways, I do thank you very much for watching, and I hope that you found the information that I provided useful and helpful, and I hope to see you back in my next video. Thanks, bye!